Hello and welcome to Gradient's weekly roundup of key economic and business developments in Sri Lanka for the week ending 30th September 2022. I'm Nishani Figuera. Here are the top stories for this week. President in Japan and Philippines to revive Japanese investments. Sri Lanka and Singapore FTA back in focus. ADB to provide further support once IMF deal approved. Power cuts extended as Norochcholai generator fails. In our main story this week, President Ranil Wickremesinghe is currently in the Philippines to attend the Asian Development Bank Governors meeting. Mr. Wickremesinghe will chair the meeting, which was initially scheduled to be held in Sri Lanka, but later shifted to Manila due to the country situation. The president is also slated to meet the Philippines President Bongbong Marcos. Earlier this week, he was in Japan to attend the funeral of former Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe. The president also met current Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida and the country's foreign minister and expressed regret over the breakdown of ties between the two nations due to the suspension of several Japanese investment projects in Sri Lanka. The president stated that he was keen to restart these projects. Meanwhile, on a significant development during the visit, Japan assured to play a constructive role with other creditor countries, including India and China, to restructure Sri Lanka's debts. On Monday, the president met Lee Hsien Loong, Prime Minister of Singapore, in Japan and informed him of Sri Lanka's readiness to implement the free trade agreement entered between the two countries in 2018. Mr. Wickremesinghe said that an international trade office was being established in the president's office and that reviving the FTA was a priority to him. On Tuesday, the Asian Development Bank expressed a willingness to further support Sri Lanka once the IMF board approves the extended fund facility. Masatsugu Asakawa, ADB president, speaking at the 55th annual meeting in the Philippines, conveyed confidence in Sri Lankan government receiving financing assurances from its creditors, paving the way for IMF funds. According to the ADB, Sri Lanka's GDP will contract 8.8% this year and further shrink 3.3% in 2023. The breakdown of the third generator at the Norochcholai power plant on Monday resulted in island-wide power cuts being extended to 3 hours. Meanwhile, the regulator, PUCSL, approved purchase of electricity from the private sector and the use of fuel plants to manage the situation. Maintenance work at the plant is estimated to take 3 to 5 days. In other news, according to the SLTDA, tourist arrivals in the first 3 weeks of September were 21,068. India was the largest source market, followed by the UK and Australia. After a 4-month standoff, Russia's flag carrier Aeroflot will resume operations to Colombo from the 9th of October. This follows Bandulu Gunawardena, Transport Minister, apologizing to the Russian government for not allowing the carrier's plane to depart Colombo in June, citing pending arbitration on the lease of an aircraft. Further, low-cost operator Fitzair announced 3 weekly flights from Katunayake to Dubai, Malé and Trichy starting 5th of October. Sri Lanka asked a US judge to dismiss the lawsuit brought by Hamilton Reserve Bank. Hamilton Reserve filed the suit seeking full payment on its over $250 million of Sri Lanka's dollar bond, which was due in July. Payment was missed as Sri Lanka fell into default in May. Hamilton Reserve has accused Sri Lanka of favoring domestic banks and other interested parties by excluding their bonds from debt restructuring. And now let's take a look at the weekly movement of the All-Share Price Index and the S&P SL 20 Index at the Colombo Stock Exchange. At the Treasury bill auction held on Wednesday, yields on all term maturities contracted. Of the 152 billion rupees worth of bids, 82 billion rupees were accepted. Here's how the rupee performed against the dollar this week. And that's a wrap for this week. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at the link below for more updates on economic and business developments in Sri Lanka. Until we see you again next week, thank you for watching. Stay safe.